Raj Bennett adjusted the medical scanner on his wrist, panning it across the smoking wreckage of what had been less than an hour ago the grandest peace conference in human history. The air on Centauri 9 was thicker than Earth's, carrying the acrid scent of burning synthetic materials, and something else, a metallic tang that Raj recognized all too well from his years as a combat medic. Blood. Not human blood, but blood nonetheless. "Medic, we need assistance in the East Wing." The voice crackled through his comm unit, but Raj had already detected life signs ahead, faint but persistent, emanating from beneath a collapsed section of the ornate ceremonial hall. The 27th century had brought humanity beyond their solar system into a galaxy teeming with intelligent life. Some peaceful, some hostile, and some like the enigmatic Vizari Empire, impossible to categorize. Until today. Until this moment, when decades of careful diplomacy had erupted in flames. Raj pushed aside a twisted beam, his exosuit amplifying his strength. The dust cleared, revealing a figure half buried under rubble. Not human. The blue-tinged skin with its subtle iridescent patterns shifting beneath the surface marked her instantly as Vizari royalty. "I've got a survivor," Raj called into his comm. "Female Vizari, severe trauma to the..." He stopped mid-sentence as two tall armored Vizari guards appeared from behind a shattered column. Their faceplates were impassive, but their posture radiated tension. "Stand away from the princess," the taller one commanded voice translator, rendering his clicks and whistles into crisp English. Raj stepped back, hands raised. "She needs immediate medical attention. Her vitals are dropping." The guards exchanged a series of rapid clicks. Then, to Raj's astonishment, they turned and began walking away. "Wait, she'll die without help," Raj called after them. The shorter guard paused. "Protocol strength has been invoked. The wounded are abandoned. Only the strong survive. This is our way." Raj stared in disbelief as they disappeared into the smoke. He'd heard rumors about Vizari cultural practices, but to see it firsthand, especially with royalty, stunned him. He knelt beside the fallen princess, his scanner showing multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and a dangerously elevated neural signature. "My name is Raj Bennett, combat medic from Earth Colony, New Damascus. I'm going to help you," he said, already pulling emergency supplies from his pack. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises of deep amethyst ringed with gold, a genetic marker of the Vizari royal bloodline. "Leave me," she whispered, her translator rendering her speech with a slight delay. "It is our way." "Not my way," Raj replied firmly, administering a universal stabilizing agent. "And with all due respect, Your Highness, your guards just left you to die in a terrorist attack during a peace conference. I think we're past traditional protocol." Her eyes narrowed, but weakness prevented further argument as Raj's scanner beeped an urgent warning. The building's structural integrity was failing. They had minutes, perhaps seconds. "We need to move, now." He gathered her in his arms, surprised by her lightness, despite her height. The Vizari skeletal structure evolved on a low-gravity world made to them appear imposing, but weigh far less than humans of similar size. She gasped in pain as he lifted her. "How dare you, the protocol is going to get us both killed," Raj interrupted, already moving toward what his helmet indicated was the most stable exit route. "Once we're safe, you can hate me all you want." The explosion behind them punctuated his words, sending them both sprawling forward as the ceremonial hall finally collapsed. Raj shielded the princess with his body as debris rained down around them. When the dust settled, they found themselves in a narrow service corridor, the way back completely blocked by rubble. "What's your name?" Raj asked, checking her vitals again. The stabilizing agent was working, but only just. She remained silent for a long moment, then, "Princess Thalara of House Vizari, 7th daughter of Emperor Kazul, keeper of the sacred protocols." Her voice carried pride even through obvious pain. Raj nodded. "Well, Princess Thalara, we're on the wrong side of this building. The evacuation ships are landing on the eastern platform, and we're on the western edge. Looks like we've got about 15 kilometers of Centauri terrain between us and help. Leave me, she repeated, though with less conviction. Save yourself. Raj sighed as he secured his medical pack and adjusted his exosuit's power distribution. Not happening, Your Highness. On Earth, we have our own protocol. It's called No One Gets Left Behind. Without waiting for her response, he gently lifted her onto his back in a secure carrying position, supported by his exosuit's frame. This is undignified, she hissed. Undignified beats did. Raj replied, starting down the corridor. Now, I need to know, is there anything about Visari physiology I should be aware of? Allergies to local plant life. Reactions to Centauri's atmosphere without filtration. Her silence lasted so long, he thought she might have lost consciousness, but finally, she spoke. Our respiratory system is sensitive to the spores of the purple ferns that grow in the northern valleys. They cause paralysis. Good to know. We'll avoid northern valleys. Raj adjusted his route on his heads-up display. Any idea who might have wanted to blow up a peace conference? Many factions oppose alliance with humans, Thalara said stiffly. We have maintained galactic dominance for 3 centuries. Some believe diplomacy shows weakness. Including you, Raj asked bluntly. The princess didn't answer immediately. I have supported my father's initiatives, she finally said. But the protocols have served us well. They ensure only the strongest lead. Raj reached the end of the corridor, facing a choice between an emergency exit that led into the dense purple forests of Centauri 9 or continuing through the building's damaged infrastructure. Scanner shows multiple heat signatures ahead. Could be survivors, could be hostiles. He muttered more to himself than Thalara. Forest it is. The door hissed open, revealing a landscape that never failed to take Raj's breath away. Centauri 9's twin suns cast everything in a perpetual golden-pink twilight. The forest before them was a riot of violet and indigo, with towering fern-like trees and undulating ground cover that seemed to pulse with its own rhythm. The forest predators will sense my blood, Thalara warned as Raj stepped outside. The Visari scent attracts them. Then we move fast and stay downwind, Raj replied, checking his compass. East is this way. Hold tight. As they moved deeper into the alien forest, the sounds of emergency sirens and distant explosions faded, replaced by the eerie whistling of wind through the purple fronds and occasional calls of native wildlife. Raj established a steady pace, his exosuit compensating for Thalara's weight, though he could feel the strain in his unaugmented muscles. Why do you do this? Thalara asked, after nearly an hour of silence. Your people owe mine nothing. We have been difficult negotiators. Raj carefully stepped over a bubbling stream of what appeared to be caustic liquid. Because it's right. Because I'm a medic and you're injured. Because leaving someone to die when you could help them is wrong no matter what planet you're from. Even if saving me costs your life, she challenged. Let's not find out, Raj said with a grim smile she couldn't see. The ground suddenly shifted beneath them, causing Raj to stumble. What he'd taken for solid earth was actually a massive camouflaged insectoid creature that rose on multiple legs, sending them tumbling down a steep embankment. Raj twisted his body to protect Thalara as they fell, his exosuit absorbing most of the impact before they landed hard at the bottom of a ravine. Pain shot through Raj's left leg. A quick check confirmed a fracture, though his suit was already administering pain blockers and stabilizing the injury. Are you okay? He asked Thalara, who had rolled several meters away. She was struggling to sit up, fresh blue blood seeping through her ornate clothing. Damaged, but functional. She managed her translator glitching slightly. Raj dragged himself to her side scanner, already assessing the new injuries. One of her wounds had reopened, and her breathing had become labored. I need to treat this now, he said, pulling out his medical kit. And then we need shelter. It'll be dark soon, and my sensors indicate an acid rain front moving in. Thalara watched silently as Raj dressed her wounds with practiced efficiency. You're injured as well, she finally observed. Suit's handling it, Raj replied, though the pain was making him sweat despite the blockers. You should not have tried to shield me in the fall, she said, her tone unreadable. It was inefficient. Raj almost laughed. You're welcome, Your Highness. A deep resonant call echoed through the ravine, followed by an answering cry from alarmingly close by. Predators, Raj asked quietly. Thalara nodded. Greyhounds, they hunt in packs. Raj surveyed their surroundings. The ravine walls were too steep to climb with his injured leg, but his scanner detected a small opening in the rock face nearby, possibly a cave. Can you move? He asked, already trying to stand. Thalara attempted to rise, but collapsed almost immediately. My neural pathways are compromised, she admitted, frustration evident. The fall damaged my primary locomotion controls. Without hesitation, Raj lifted her again, ignoring the screaming pain in his leg as he half-carried, half-dragged them both toward the cave entrance. The calls of the greyhounds were growing closer, accompanied by the sound of heavy bodies crashing through underbrush. The cave entrance was barely large enough for them to squeeze through. Inside, bioluminescent fungi cast an eerie blue glow over a surprisingly large cavern. Raj propped Thalara against a wall and turned to the entrance, drawing his service pistol. Standard issue won't do much against greyhounds, Thalara observed. It's not for them, Raj replied, aiming at the rock above the entrance. 3 precise shots brought down enough debris to partially block the opening, not completely sealed, but enough to deter large predators. He slumped down beside Thalara, finally allowing himself to acknowledge the pain. We'll rest here until morning. The rain should mask our scent. Thalara was studying him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. You're severely injured, yet you prioritized my safety and comfort, she said. This contradicts everything I have been taught about humans. What have you been taught? Raj asked, curious despite his exhaustion. That humans are weak because they allow sentiment to override logic. That your species' empathy makes you vulnerable and inefficient. She paused. Yet, you have demonstrated remarkable resilience and ingenuity. Empathy doesn't make us weak, Raj said, administering another dose of pain blockers. It connects us, makes us stronger as a group, even if it sometimes seems less efficient for individuals. Thalara's expression shifted subtly. An interesting hypothesis. Outside, the first drops of acid rain began to fall with audible hisses as they struck vegetation. The distant howls of the greyhounds faded as the predators sought shelter. You should rest, Raj said, checking Thalara's vitals one more time. Your body's healing systems are working, but they need time. As do yours, she pointed out. Yet you maintain vigilance. Raj smiled tiredly. I'll rest when we're safe. For a moment, something like confusion crossed Thalara's elegant features. You are not what I expected, Raj Bennett of Earth. I get that a lot, he murmured already, feeling consciousness slipping away despite his best efforts to stay alert. The last thing he registered before darkness claimed him was the unexpected sensation of Thalara adjusting his position to make him more comfortable. A gesture so at odds with her people's protocol strength that his exhausted mind must surely have imagined it. Raj awoke to the sound of voices, or rather the distinctive clicking communication of Vizari. He kept his eyes closed, straining to understand, but without his translator activated, the sounds remained impenetrable. I know you're awake, human, Thalara said, eventually, in translated English. Your breathing pattern changed. Raj opened his eyes to find the princess sitting surprisingly close. Her royal garments torn and repurposed into makeshift bandages, some on her own wounds, but others he noticed with shock on his leg. You treated my injury, he said, the statement half a question. Crudely, she replied, though without the disdain that had colored her earlier comments. I observed your techniques and replicated them as best I could. Raj checked his medical scanner. Both of them showed improvement, though they were far from healed. "Thank you," he said simply. She inclined her head slightly. "It seems logical. To ensure the continued functionality of the one determined to carry me to safety." It wasn't quite an admission that she'd helped him out of compassion, but Raj would take it. How long was I out? 1 full planetary rotation. The acid rain has ceased, but I detected Vizari search patterns overhead during the night. Raj frowned. "Rescue parties?" Thalara's expression darkened. "No, their communication frequencies were not Imperial Standard. They are not my father's forces. Rebels. The terrorists who attacked the conference. Perhaps," she hesitated, "or loyalists to my brother Prince Vizoth." Raj sat up straighter, ignoring the protest from his injured leg. "You think your brother was behind the attack?" "It is a possibility I cannot dismiss. Vizoth has always been ambitious, and he opposed the alliance with humanity from the beginning." Her voice grew quieter. "He is also the strictest adherent of protocol strength in the royal family, which means he wouldn't hesitate to eliminate a wounded sister if it meant clearing his path to the throne," Raj concluded grimly. Thalara's silence was confirmation enough. "We need to move," Raj decided, checking his equipment. "If they're using standard Vizari search patterns, they'll sweep this area by midday." "Your leg," Thalara began. "Will hold," Raj insisted, using the cave wall to pull himself up. Pain shot through his body, but the fracture had begun to knit thanks to the accelerated healing compounds in his system. "Can you walk?" Thalara attempted to stand but immediately collapsed. "My neural pathways remain compromised. The damage is beyond your medical technology." Raj ran a more detailed scan. "The injury is pressing on your central nervous column. I could attempt surgery, but not here, not with these tools." "Then you must go without me," Thalara said firmly. "The evacuation point is less than 10 kilometers east. You could reach it by nightfall." "We've been through this, Your Highness. I'm not leaving you. This is not about protocol anymore." Thalara's voice rose with uncharacteristic emotion. "If Vizoth is behind this, he will not stop until I am dead. You risk your life needlessly." Raj knelt before her, bringing their eyes level. "Not needlessly. You're the legitimate heir now, the one who supported peace. If we can get you to safety, expose your brother's treachery." "I am 7th in line," she interrupted. "And how many of your siblings were at that conference?" Raj asked quietly. Thalara's eyes widened as the implication struck her. "All of them. Father insisted on a unified royal presence, which makes you possibly the last legitimate heir if the attack succeeded as planned." Raj stood again, decision made. "We're getting you to that evacuation point, together." Without further discussion, he helped her onto his back once more, adjusted his exosuit's settings to compensate for his injury, and stepped out of the kingdom into the alien forest. The journey was grueling. Each step sent jolts of pain through Raj's leg despite the suit's support and the pain blockers in his system. The forest had transformed overnight, the acid rain having triggered a bizarre blooming cycle. Massive flowers with tooth-lined openings tracked their movement, and the ground itself seemed to pulse beneath their feet. "The vibrations of your walking will attract attention." Thalara warned, her voice close to Raj's ear. "We must find the crystalline fields to the east. They will disperse our footfalls." Raj adjusted his course according to her directions. "You know this planet well for a princess." "I insisted on studying the terrain before the conference. Knowledge is survival." There was a pause. "Not all Vizari believe strength is merely physical." They traveled in relative silence, for ours Raj focusing on maintaining his pace despite growing exhaustion. Thalara occasionally offering guidance about the terrain or warnings about native life forms. The twin suns crept higher, baking the already humid forest into a steam bath that had sweat pouring down Raj's face beneath his helmet. "There," Thalara said suddenly, pointing over his shoulder. "The crystal fields begin just beyond that ridge." Raj squinted at what appeared to be a vast expanse of geometric shapes emerging from the ground, catching and refracting the sunlight in blinding patterns. "Those look sharp," he observed. "The surface crystals are harmless," Thalara assured him. "It is their resonance we seek. Sound waves are scattered, making tracking difficult." As they approached the crystal field, a new sound reached them, the distinctive whine of Vizari hover engines. "Down!" Thalara hissed, and Raj immediately dropped into a crouch beneath a massive fern-like structure. A sleek craft skimmed the treetops, its design all smooth curves and iridescent surfaces, unmistakably Vizari military. It slowed as it approached the crystal field sensors, visibly extending from its hull. "They're scanning for life signs," Raj whispered. "My suit can mask mine, but they will detect me," Thalara finished. She reached for a control panel on her ornate bracelet, tapped a complex sequence, and suddenly her biosignature on Raj's scanner dropped to nearly undetectable levels. "Royal technology," she explained at his surprised look, "designed for diplomatic emergencies." The ship hovered for several tense minutes, then abruptly changed course, heading north. "They'll be back," Raj said, already moving toward the crystal field. That wasn't a thorough search. The crystal field proved more challenging than expected. What had appeared solid from a distance was actually a maze of crystal formations with treacherous gaps between them. Raj tested each step carefully, the exosuit's systems struggling to find purchase on the slick surfaces. "The evacuation point should be visible from the other side of this field," Thalara said, her voice growing weaker. "Approximately 3 kilometers beyond." Raj's scanner confirmed her assessment, but also delivered troubling news. "Your vitals are dropping again. The masking technology is draining your energy reserves." A necessary sacrifice. Halfway across the crystal field, disaster struck. A formation that appeared solid shattered beneath Raj's weight, sending them plummeting into a hidden cavern below. The fall was short but violent, the exosuit absorbing most of the impact, but finally giving out power cells depleted. Raj groaned, rolling to protect Thalara as they landed. In the dim light filtering through the hole above, he could see they were in some kind of crystalline grotto, the walls pulsing with the same bioluminescence they'd seen in the cave. "Raj?" Thalara's voice was faint. "Are you functional?" He ran a quick self-assessment. The exosuit was dead, leaving him without its strength enhancement or medical systems. His leg throbbed violently, and new bruises were forming across his torso, but nothing seemed catastrophically damaged. "I'll live," he said, moving to check on Thalara. "What about you?" Her condition had deteriorated significantly. The blue blood was seeping through her makeshift bandages again, and her breathing had become shallow. "I require repairs," she managed, attempting humor despite her state. Raj glanced at his now useless scanner. Without it, he would have to rely on his basic medical training and instincts. "I need to redress these wounds. Then we figure a way out of here." As he worked to stabilize Thalara with his dwindling supplies, a new sound reached them, voices, but not Vizari. Human voices. "Hello?" Raj called out, hope surging. "Is anyone there? We need medical assistance." Silence followed, then a response that chilled his blood. "Well, well. What have we here? A human and a Vizari princess, if I'm not mistaken?" A man in Earth Alliance combat gear appeared at the edge of the chamber, but his insignia was wrong: mercenary, not official forces. 5 more figures emerged from the shadows surrounding them, with weapons drawn. "Lieutenant Krav will be pleased," the mercenary continued, speaking into a comm unit. "We found the princess, and she's got herself a human pet." Raj positioned himself between Thalara and the mercenaries. "We're trying to reach the evacuation point. The princess needs immediate medical attention." "Oh, I'm sure she does," the man replied with a cold smile. "But I'm afraid Prince Vazoth was quite clear in his instructions. No survivors from the royal family. Nothing to challenge his claim to the throne." Thalara's suspicions had been correct. Raj felt a surge of anger. You're working for Vizoth. He attacked his own family. Politics? The mercenary shrugged. Pays well, though. Then you're not just terrorists, you're traitors to humanity, Raj said. The alliance with the Vizari is our best hope for. Spare me the diplomatic speech, the man interrupted. The Vizari have been stepping on smaller species for centuries. Vizoth's offering certain considerations to Earth once he takes power. That's good enough for me. He raised his weapon. Nothing personal. Raj tensed, preparing for a hopeless final stand when a blur of motion caught his peripheral vision. Thalara had activated something on her bracelet, and suddenly the crystals around them began to vibrate at an increasing frequency. Cover your ears, she shouted to Raj. Her own hands pressed against the sides of her head. The vibration built to an unbearable pitch, and the mercenaries screamed as their neural systems overloaded. Raj barely managed to shield himself in time, and even then the pain was excruciating. When it subsided, the mercenaries lay unconscious or disoriented on the ground. Thalara was slumped against a crystal formation, nearly unconscious from the effort. Royal technology, she whispered as Raj rushed to her side. Tuned to human and Vizari neural frequencies, short range. You saved us, Raj said, gathering her in his arms despite his own injuries. But we need to move before they wake up, or reinforcements arrive. There is a passage. Thalara pointed weakly to a narrow opening in the crystal wall. My scanner detected it before it failed. The passage was tight, but navigable, winding through the crystal structures until it eventually opened into a small clearing on the far side of the crystal field. In the distance, Raj could see the unmistakable silhouette of an evacuation terminal, sleek, multi-leveled platforms where ships could dock to retrieve survivors. We're close, he told Thalara, whose eyes were now struggling to stay open. Stay with me, Your Highness. Thalara, she corrected softly. After all this, I think you've earned the right to use my name. Raj smiled despite their dire situation. Thalara it is. He carried her across the clearing, every step agony, without his exosuit's assistance, but driven by determination and the knowledge that they were so close to safety they had nearly reached the edge of the forest when disaster struck again. A Vizari military transport descended before them, blocking their path. The ramp lowered to reveal a tall, imposing Vizari male, flanked by elite guard units. The family resemblance to Thalara was unmistakable, though his features were harder, colder. Sister, he greeted his translator, rendering his voice with aristocratic precision. How disappointing to find you still breathing. Vizoth, Thalara acknowledged weakly from Raj's arms. Your timing is impeccable, as always. Prince Vizoth stepped forward, his ornate armor gleaming in the sunlight. When my human agents failed to report in, I decided a personal touch was required. His gaze shifted to Raj. And you found yourself a human protector. Quaint. He knows what you did, Thalara said, strength returning to her voice despite her physical weakness. The attack on the conference, the assassinations of our family. A necessary political restructuring, Vizoth replied coldly. Father's policies of appeasement were weakening our empire. Humans and other lesser species must be controlled, not coddled. He gestured, and his guards raised their weapons. But explanations are wasted on the dead. Goodbye, sister. Wait, Raj called out desperately. You can't just execute a royal princess in cold blood. Even with your protocols, there must be some form of trial or challenge. Zoth paused, seeming amused. The human speaks of our ways as if he understands them. He stepped closer, studying Raj with detached curiosity. But you've raised an interesting point. Protocol strength does indeed allow for challenge. He drew an ornate ceremonial weapon from his belt, something between a dagger and a short sword. Its blade seemingly made of the same crystal they had traversed. Place my sister on the ground and face me human. Defeat me, and you both live. Lose, and you both die. His mouth curled in a cruel smile. Though given your obvious injuries, I suspect this will be brief. Raj gently set Thalara down, whispering, I don't have much choice. Got a better idea? Raj asked, struggling to stand upright. Thalara's eyes darted to the evacuation terminal, then back to Raj. Buy time. Help may yet come. Raj nodded slightly, then turned to face Vizoth. The prince tossed him a similar crystal blade, which Raj caught clumsily. I've never used one of these, Raj admitted, testing the weapon's weight. Then your education will be brief, but thorough, Vizoth replied, assuming a fighting stance. What followed was less a duel than a brutal demonstration of Vizari combat prowess. Vizoth moved with inhuman speed and precision, toying with Raj, inflicting small cuts rather than killing blows, clearly savoring his opponent's struggle. Raj fought with everything he had, his combat training providing some defense, but his injuries and exhaustion left him at a hopeless disadvantage. Blood, human red, not Vizari blue, soon spattered the ground. Pathetic, Vizoth commented after landing a particularly vicious slash across Raj's chest. This is the species my father wished to ally with. You can barely stand. Raj stumbled, nearly falling, and Vizoth pressed his advantage, knocking the crystal blade from Raj's hand and placing his own at Raj's throat. Any last words, human? Raj met his eyes defiantly. Just one question. If strength is so important to your kind, why did you need to resort to terrorism and assassination? Seems like the tactic of someone who knows they're too weak to win fairly. Rage flashed across Vizoth's features. Insolent creature, I will... Stand down, brother. The command came from behind them. Thalara had somehow managed to stand her royal bracelet, glowing with activated technology pointed directly at Vizoth. You can barely stand, Sister, Vizoth sneered. Your empty threats are not empty, interrupted a new voice as a young Vizari officer stepped out from the tree line, accompanied by a squad of Imperial guards. Princess Thalara activated the royal emergency beacon hours ago. We have been tracking her since. The officer, his insignia identifying him as Lieutenant Jex, moved to Thalara's side, supporting her. We received your encoded message, Your Highness. The evidence against Prince Vizoth has been transmitted to the Imperial Council. Vizoth's face contorted with fury. You dare to interfere, Lieutenant. I am your superior by birth and rank. You are a traitor to the Empire, Jex replied calmly. And according to protocol justice, which supersedes even protocol strength, you are stripped of all rank pending trial. The Imperial guards surrounded Vizoth and his stunned elite unit, weapons raised. You cannot seriously believe the word of a weakling who needed human assistance to survive, Vizoth snarled, gesturing at Thalara. Thalara straightened, despite her injuries, her voice ringing clear. I survived not despite accepting help, but because of it. And in doing so, I uncovered your treachery. She turned to the gathered Vizari. My brother believes strength lies in abandoning others, in cruelty and dominance. But I have learned a different truth. She moved to Raj's side, helping him stand, just as he had carried her. True strength lies in connection, in mutual support, in recognizing that different kinds of strength exist, and that together they create something greater than any individual could achieve alone. Zoth laughed bitterly. Pretty words from a dying princess. The council will never. The council has already voted. Lieutenant Jex interrupted, consulting a communication device. Prince Vizoth is remanded to Imperial custody. Princess Thalara is to be returned to the capital immediately for emergency medical treatment, and for her father's formal designation of her as his successor. Shock rippled through the assembled Vizari. Raj, barely conscious now from blood loss, felt Thalara's grip on him tighten. The human comes with me, she commanded. He receives the same medical priority as myself. Of course, Your Highness, Jex replied with a slight bow. As Imperial medics rushed forward, Vizoth made one last desperate move, breaking free from his captors and lunging toward Thalara with his crystal blade. Raj, using his last reserves of strength, pushed her aside and took the blow meant for her. The blade penetrated his already wounded chest, and he collapsed. The world faded to distant sounds and blurred images. Vazoth being subdued. Thalara's voice urgent and commanding. The sensation of being lifted moved. Darkness claimed him. Raj awoke to the distinctive hum of advanced medical technology. He was floating in some kind of regeneration chamber, blue-tinted liquid supporting his body, while nanomachines repaired his injuries. Through the transparent walls, he could see he was in a vast medical bay. The architecture, unmistakably Vizari, all flowing lines and bioluminescent accents. A figure approached the chamber Thalara. She wore formal regalia. Now her wounds healed, though faint scars remained visible on her blue-tinged skin. She placed a hand on the chamber's exterior, and Raj realized the floating sensation was fading as the liquid drained. When the chamber opened, he found he could stand without pain, his injuries completely healed. "Welcome back, Raj Bennett," Thalara said formally, though her eyes held warmth he hadn't seen before. "You have been unconscious for 7 rotations. 7 days. Raj was shocked. "What's happened? Where are we?" "Seoul. The Imperial flagship currently in orbit around Centauri 9, she replied. "Much has transpired. Vazoth has been tried and imprisoned. The peace conference has been reconvened with significantly enhanced security." She gestured for him to follow her to a viewport. Beyond it stretched the vast expanse of space, with Centauri 9's distinctive purple landmasses visible below. "My father has named me his successor." Thalara continued, her voice softer now. "The first time in 8 generations that a 7th-born has been elevated to crown heir." "Congratulations," Raj said sincerely. "You'll make a wonderful empress someday." Thalara turned to face him directly. "My first act as crown heir was to propose a modification to our ancient protocols. Protocol strength remains, but is now balanced by a new protocol alliance, recognizing that true strength often comes from cooperation rather than isolation." Raj smiled. "Your people accepted this." "Not all," she admitted. "Change comes slowly to the Vizari. But enough witnessed what happened on Centauri 9, how a lone human refuses to abandon an enemy princess, even at great personal risk. How together we survived what neither could have alone." She stepped closer. "The Imperial Council has voted to offer you a position as cultural liaison between our peoples, the first of its kind." "I'm just a combat medic," Raj protested. "You are the human who carried a Vizari princess across deadly terrain when her own kind abandoned her," Thalara countered. "The human who showed greater adherence to true strength than those born to its traditions." Her hand reached for his, an unprecedented gesture for Vizari royalty. "And you are the human who has forever changed how at least one Vizari sees the universe." Raj took her hand, feeling the subtle differences in her alien physiology. The additional joint in her fingers. The cooler temperature, the strange resonance beneath her skin. Yet those differences now seemed trivial compared to what they had experienced together. "I accept," he said simply. Outside the viewport, a fleet of ships, both human and Vizari, was assembling, representing the first joint defensive force in galactic history. A new alliance born from the most unlikely of circumstances. "There will be challenges ahead," Thalara warned. "Not all believe as we do." Raj thought of the crystal fields they had traversed, how they had scattered sound and light into new patterns. "Then we'll face them together." Thalara's lips curved in a subtle smile, a human expression she had clearly been studying. "Together," she agreed. "A most efficient approach." As they stood side by side looking out at the stars, Raj reflected on how far they had come. Not just the physical journey across Centauri 9's deadly terrain, but the greater journey of understanding between 2 vastly different species. One step at a time, one difficult choice after another, carrying each other when necessary. It was perhaps the beginning of something extraordinary.